Oh, nice. Well, yeah. Is this my house? Hello? Hello? Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. What a good turnout. Exactly. This is so who's all from Twin Cities? Can you hear me in the back? A little more, louder.
Turning it up to 9.
How's that?
Does it go to 11?
That helps. Get it louder. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. I'm Lloyd Cledwin, one of the co-organizers. Would the other co-organizers stand up and introduce yourselves?
Jeff Williams?
Patrick Walters.
Steve Lewin.
So there's 4 of us for now, which is sometimes in flux, but I'm going to hold to this as the dream team of co-organizers. So we meet every month at various places. Every other month is what it's been at Augusto, and the other month at Code 42. So first, thanks a ton for Augusto for hosting all this great food.
Sure. Yeah, 11 faces here this month. That's awesome. So I'll just do a quick intro on Augusto, just for those that are new. So at Augusto, we're focused on developing products for our customers, and we're working on some of our own products now that are all centered around Google Cloud Platform. So everything we do here is all about Google and Google Platform. And we're looking for some new people here throughout the years. So Ian actually joined Augusto here
5 weeks ago.
Yeah, 5 weeks ago to just help us with finding talent. So I'll just introduce Ian and let her say a few words, and then just the Augusto guys in the back, just raise your hands. So if you're interested in learning more about Augusto, just raise your hand.
Good evening, everybody. This reminds me of singing here at Willie, but I'll save you. I actually do love singing in our crowd. But I'm really excited to be at Augusto. I've been recruiting with Twin Cities since 1993, primarily technical since 1994. Excited to be here during this growth opportunity. It's a tight group, very well managed. Definitely under crazy to fit shoes. But I love the network too. And I don't get all given all three, I guess I'm from the interview, but again, excited to be able to some one of new positions that we would create some very check as well. Thank you.
Where should we check that out?
Oh, okay, so I was here at the front and some over on the side. And I'm not that creepy recruiter, I promise you. I'm not studying it. Not just, thanks.
Thanks so much. All right, so quick intro on as to what more about our group. So we are, all right. Yeah, there we go. So Google Developer Groups is started as somebody's 20% project at Google and has grown into this huge outreach. There's now almost 650 GDG chapters around the world. In the last 6 months, there have been 36, almost 3,400 events that have been held. So this is a global effort that this has really become, and it's pretty fun. I'm one of the founding organizers from here since 2009, and to see the progress of kind of the attention that Google as a whole is paying to really the local community members who are showing interest and learning and making some really cool products and businesses and great developer creations with Google tools is really becoming hugely visible within Google. So this is part of this broader effort that we are a part of, and it's kind of cool to see the attention that's starting to get paid. So the ear is the ear of people at Google is definitely pointed towards us. And we couldn't happen without involvement from the community. So we're all volunteer organizers. All of the speakers we have are volunteers. Each and one of you, I'm pretty sure, has a project that you've worked on recently that caught your interest somehow. We'd love to hear about it. And I think there's likely a good chance it would be worth presenting to the group. So approach any one of us afterwards if you have a topic that you might consider presenting. Most of our information is at gdgtc.com. We've got just some general information about our group. We've got here the upcoming events that we have scheduled on Meetup. So meetup.com really is the kind of canonical place where we manage our events. So tonight we've got our Firebase event. Still this month we've got at least 2, maybe 3. Last year there were 3 regional Google I/O extended events. So Google I/O is the big developer conference. They only have 5,000 tickets, 6,000 tickets, and they when they used to sell first come first serve, they sold out in 45 seconds the last year that they allowed that. It's in high demand. So they're trying to distribute these globally. So again, Augusta is going to be a host again this year. We're working on the schedule for that day. There's going to be some really great content here, kind of at this space. One of the nice things that Google's doing is they're live streaming all of the content. So if you'd like, sit at your desk at work, put it in a tab half hidden by a spreadsheet, and learn about the cool announcements that's happening for the day, or come join us here. We'll have the content, the keynote live stream, but there'll also be some content, some local content from Augusto expertise and other folks that working on some great swag. It'll be a nice kind of day event for those of us who are not going to be in San Francisco. So that includes myself, I know Jeff, and a number of other folks. So we're also hosting an event and partnering with the Nerdery. I don't know if you want to say anything about the Nerdery event, Patrick?
Sure. If you're looking for somewhere to be on the day of Google I/O and extended event, there's one location here. There's another location at the Nerdery. The Nerdery will be streaming some sessions just like here. All the sessions that they'll be streaming, just Android focused. So if you're not interested in Android at all, you want to be in this building. But if you are interested in Android, it's a great place to be. There'll be some food, maybe cooking out, and some talks.
And swag as well. They're looped into the swag coolness. We're designing shirts and other fun things. So definitely kind of a good day to learn some great content. So we are, someone's phone's powering down. One of the things that's happening now is we're becoming more visible as an effort worldwide is Google is really big on metrics and measuring their impact. And so at some point this evening, if you all could fill out this survey, it's at bit.ly/GDG survey, which will take you to a link to fill out kind of talking about tonight's event. For each person that enters, you get entered into drawing. I think there's a tablet and a watch and something every quarter. And then also our group then gets entered. There's incentives to do this, as well as it helps the global effort. It helps put some metrics around it, and it helps us kind of guide globally what's going to happen this next year and beyond. So it's a form that looks like this. We are GDG Twin Cities is our group. I think that's about all you need from there. And that's all the intro things. We used to do more formally. Does anybody have any general announcements for the group? Any? What's that? Next month, the meetup. Steven's going to tell you about next month's meetup.
So we haven't finalized yet. I think we're on schedule to be back at Code Review next month. Just based on the timing, we will probably be doing a Google I/O recap where there's a discussion and sending a small presentation about some of the cool things. If those that go to Google I/O getting cool toys, they'll bring them in. We can all play and share.
And Stephen and Patrick will walk around the vendor floor and pick up all sorts of stickers and bring those back. You didn't know that until 2 seconds ago, but that'll be good. Yeah, so that'll be at Code 42. Anybody looking for work? All right. Some folks, general area of expertise. Android, and Chuck, Android as well. All right, we've got 4 Android devs. Anybody hiring? Areas of hiring? Front end?
Java Spring developers.
Java Spring, who else? All your
platform option.
and with someone up here? All right. Well, we didn't get to do a date matching right away, but talk to folks is a great opportunity to network and meet with folks as well. All right, with all of the, we also have additional swag. So Augusto has some Google swag laid out. We have Firebase headbands for anybody. We have got some stickers and some hot sauce, Firebase real-time hot sauce. And I brought some extra DevFest t-shirts. So if anybody was at DevFest, you didn't get this shirt, or you'd like another one, I've got large and extra large, I think. Large and medium, I bet. Anyhow, that's what I brought tonight. So those are up here. Let's get started.
All right, so Rory and I are not first at all, although we've been in the code a fair amount. So tonight is intended to be a code lab, so I hope you guys brought some sort of computing device where you can take some good notes on how to build a cool Firebase application. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to be looking at the Firebase chat room. Really, so when you talk to the Firebase team, they really consider the chat room is their hello world, right? So if you've ever built an application, you're learning a new language, it's typically you just get something to print on the screen. Well, they're a little bit more advanced, and so they say a chat room is their easiest thing to build, which I actually kind of agree with. So hopefully tonight, everyone here is going to learn to build a chat room. So we've got all the content, all the code in a Google Doc here, as a central repository, and then there's links off into GitHub, which we'll walk you through. So the URL, so you probably can't see this, should be a little bigger, is bit.ly, which is the easy part, and then GDGTC for Google Developer Twin Cities, Firebase. So Firebase, all after GDGTC. So let's do a first check. Did anyone have trouble getting to a URL? Browser, working, probably Chrome.
Jeff is, or Patrick is gonna post it to the Meetup board as well. But, yeah, this would be a good bellwether here. Is anybody not yet to the URL?
So we can check and see you.
Jeff's not there, all right. Can anybody help Jeff? Who's all, there we go. All right, so we've got 18 of you, including me, which doesn't count.
Okay. All right. Patrick, and it's also on Twitter, if you follow the GDG group, or Roy or myself, who've been blasting it a little bit. So we're at about 80% success rate tonight, so.
All right.
We'll
Hopefully we're not gonna fall off past here.
All right. So we want to start off a little bit talking about what is Firebase. So who here can give a one-sentence description of what Firebase is? If you've ever worked with it, if you've ever tried it, read about it. That's
Real-time database?
real-time database. That is a fantastic way of describing it. So what Firebase is what they call backend as a service. So if you've ever built any sort of application with any sort of complexity where you need to store something between executions, you needed some sort of backend or database, right? A lot of times, if you go back probably 5, 6 years ago, it was LAMP stack. So you're building PHP, MySQL, or if you're in the .NET world, you're running VC or ASP.NET or using SQL Server. The idea behind Firebase is that applications now, with a tool like Firebase or any sort of backend service, you can be building an application entirely in client side. So something that runs in the browser, as close to the user as possible for performance reasons and for experience reasons. And then you don't actually have to build videos. You don't have to put a huge amount of thought into how am I going to scale an infrastructure, how am I going to make RESTful APIs so my application can call those APIs. They have done that for you. And so after signing up with a free Firebase account, you're able to build an application and then kind of just stuff data in there and pull it out on demand.
One of the other features that comes with loading the Firebase library, I mean, basically you can enable your site as Firebase by adding one line of JavaScript import. Not only is it real-time data, but it also allows for offline data. So if you are on a browser that loses connectivity, the user the experience doesn't degrade. So they'll keep using your app as though it's connecting with the database, and when their internet connectivity wings back up, then it'll handle all the the CRUD operations and synchronize their app back up to where it was.
So then just maybe a couple final notes. So if anyone's heard of Parse, which is a Facebook program, it's also a backend service. Firebase is similar to Parse, or at least I thought so the first time I used it. It's like, hey, it's basically on the oh, great. But what ends up happening, or ends up being very different between Firebase and Parse, is that Firebase is designed to be real time. And so Parse is really designed to be pushing data down or being pulled, sort of both push messages as well as kind of just RESTful APIs. Firebase is designed and built from the ground up. All their client routers are built for what's called real time. And so what that means is you build it in your application to say, as soon as there's new data, do X. And that happens whether you're doing it for the first time or whether you're doing it for the thousands of data points loaded. Right? The 20th chat message loaded, you treat that exactly the same as if it was the initial page load. And so by doing that, you get some very cool effects. Right? When you're building an application, it's not just living on your device, but it's also reading up to the cloud and back. I will say Firebase is proprietary, so any open source fan, which I am, Firebase is not great from a freedom perspective, although everything in their backend is NoSQL, JSON object, which we will talk about later. So it's pretty easy to get out if you don't like it, but the tools and the services that they offer are pretty addicting. I don't know of any So they're actually, they were a separate company, but then they got bought by Google. So if you ever heard of Google and they go to do a startup, you might not get very far. So we mentioned they have a free trial, which should be more than money for everyone here in terms of the foreseeable future. It's called a hacker lab, what it allows, and the whole pricing model for Firebase is based on concurrent users. So they charge you for how many live users you have. So if you're building an Android app, it's only ever going to be seen by 20 people. Firebase will work fantastic. You have a Firebase app that's only by 1,000 users, but only 30 concurrently. That's great. But then when you start going past that, that's when they start charging you big bucks. So you see here about 50 max concurrent connections. The hacker one is the free one that we're all on. But then for 50 bucks a month, that moves to 200 a month. And the thing I'll say for having talked to the Firebase DevRel a little bit, they don't actually care about the money as much as a normal product company does. They're trying to prove that they can build this thing and it works and it scales before they worry about charging a lot of money. So, for example, if you are building an application and you have 100,000 users, call them. They will absolutely work some sort of pricing out for you. I don't know any of the details of that, maybe 1% off, but they seem very eager to get major companies and major projects using their platform.
And they're even more generous about that pricing. We looked into using this for our DevFest event, which is a single day event, lots of users. And we went with the candle plan because they also have, if you go over within, I think, an hour period, if you have spiked usage and then dives back off, they kind of just round it out. They don't really care.
They don't care about peak usage.
And also, if it's up high for about a day, they might charge you it's a fraction of a penny per user. So it's totally, it really, the more and more we keep looking into this, there's very few arguments against using it more regularly.
It's addicting, kind of like all Google products, right? Like you don't want to keep using all of them, you feel like the Google bandwidth, and you're like, yeah, that's.
And a question for you. Yeah, on their back, are they their own servers or are they?
Yeah, they have.
A combination of Amazon and.
No, it is, they have all their own servers and they're all moving to Google Cloud if they're not already.
And the beauty is you don't have to care. I haven't dug into their SLA. Have you looked into that?
They've never gone down, so.
Right? Why would it matter?
Are they international servers?
I do not think so. I think they're national, but not international.
So, as part of this demo, we've got here this the app that we're going to build tonight, deployed in the cloud. We're not going to see if anybody's logged in. A couple people. So the whole gameplay is we set up a little bit of security. You can't post to the message board. That might be a little big. And so you log in with Google+. And so Steven's already authenticated here. We've got Baskin signed in. Should we, let's hit this real time, folks. Nice.
So just a note, we'll get into security about this much. There's a lot more that can be done. We're not claiming this is secure in any way. A little bit like the scavenger hunt.
Right. All right, so that was cool? So should we dive into it? All right. So step one, we're going to be building a website, and so crack open your IDE, and we're going to actually don't even crack open IDE. What we're going to recommend you use for site is the Chrome dev editor, because of course everybody's using Chrome. Is going to be the easiest experience for any developer building a website. And there's a link up this doc to the Chrome dev editor. You got this set up, or do you want to
pull it up? So is everyone already ahead of us and like already downloaded this? Anyone still downloading or anyone still having trouble getting it?
Anybody not use the Chrome dev editor?
This will work in any IDE, right? Just you need to be able to run or write and host files. So looks like this, Chrome dev editor.
So the nice thing about the Chrome Dev Editor is you don't have to install any local web hosting application like Node or Python. It's pretty lightweight, but in order for Firebase to work, because of browser security, you need to be running actually at a URL and not off of a file.
So if you use Node or Python, I can show you a simple way to start a web server there. All right, so we're gonna dig in. So step one, create a new project. Pretty simple here. So let's jump into the IDE. One of these is an IDE, square. And I'm gonna create a new JavaScript web project. So what do I call a project? GDG cool chat. All right, we now have a new web project. You can run it and see it comes out of the box with some code. We will be replacing and modifying that in a second here. Do you want to talk about the GitHub?
Yeah, so we put this up under the GDG Twin Cities GitHub as well, and I made kind of snapshots for each step of this walkthrough. So if your code isn't working at this point, you can go out here and see what the different, what your code should look like at the different steps of the walkthrough. Each branch, you choose a different branch for the different steps, and if you needed to do more cutting and pasting, use this option.
All right, who here has the Chrome Dev Editor in their project created?
Nice.
Great.
What kind of project do you set it at?
So you should be setting it as a JavaScript web app. Several of the options will work, but this one's the easiest standard one. For example, mobile Chrome apps or Chrome apps in general don't work with Firebase because Firebase does some voodoo behind the scenes where they are injecting additional scripts. You can ask me about that later if you care. All right. Now we are going to replace the index.html file and add a Firebase library. So just the nomenclature we're using here, in case it wasn't clear, is there's these little boxes of code. Above the box, you're going to see the file name we're editing. And then within the box, you're going to see things in bold and italics that we're going to be modifying. So I'm just going to go and copy the script. So as you can see, this is a hosted delivery network version of Firebase 224, the client library. And I'm just going to paste it here.
Okay. There's a way to make that look easier.
I don't know, bigger.
See? Alright, so we make the font 50. 50. 50 wouldn't be bad actually. 30 we're gonna go with. And then
Chaos, Cobalt,
there was one.
Idle Fingers.
Someone recommended one that was so good. And it wasn't good. Actually, that's good. Let's look at that. Is that better? All right. Color readable.
Perfect. All right, so we included our dependency at the bottom of our page, just like you would always do in any sort of everything. All right, now we're going to add the scaffolding for the chat. So what this is basically, this is just a bunch of HTML that we've pre-written for you that gives us that message box and the sending box, right? So once again, in bold and italics in our index.html, right below the body tag. Actually, so one thing you'll notice, we're actually replacing that reading form. So all the way down to the script. All right, we should be able to run it. That little scaffolding, we now have our little chat window and your username, message, send button.
Sure. All right. So we were at firebase.com. we're gonna go in here, and we log in or sign up.
So we would have to open a incognito tab. Okay, so everyone should be signing up for a Firebase account right now, unless you don't have it. So is anyone signing into a Firebase or creating a Firebase account right now? Okay, let us know when you're done back there, if you're having problems. Maybe I'll walk around a little bit.
What's that?
Does the app.js file, does it get changed by itself? I can see it in the project title. Is it the app.js file?
For which?
For the application?
In the Chrome dev editor?
Yeah,
To create a JavaScript web app.
yeah, I guess you put it in there, so I just have to.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Change the settings without permission. That's how it rolls. All right, way better. Okay, so from here, where is, I invited this guy. All right. Steve, are you any different? No, nothing. I'm just gonna walk into it. Oh, there it is, I see. What are you looking for? Well, I invited you to the GDG app. Oh wait, you were on a different one. So, as complicated as it is to make a new app, you need to name it and choose the URL. So we're going to call this GDG Gusto Firebase Demo because that's way too much to write. Firebase Demo. All right, we don't like that. Let's go with dash Gusto. Okay, so we're going to create this as a new app. It's created. It's right here. When you click on this, then this tells you information about your Firebase database you've created. At this point, now you've got all this information, or all this fully functional Firebase database. One thing I'll note, and we'll get into this a little bit later, the security on this is nothing. So you all could write your code using the same URL, but we're gonna pretend that you won't.
It starts as nothing, but you can set the security.
Yeah, the security is wide open, which is a different way of thinking about the security within Firebase is its own special flower. But once you start digging into it, it's pretty cool actually. All right, so we created an account. We created a new app. You need the URL.
So just scroll. So this is really blown up. So you've got that on that main screen of Firebase, you've got all your little apps. Everyone that created an account will say my first app. Or if you created one and you gave it a name, it's going to have this URL. You're going to need this. So save that somewhere, copy and paste it, look for it, wherever.
So I got Firebase open. Oh, it's in Firebase demo. It's also up here. All right, Firebase IO. Yep. All right. So we'll go back to instructions. So you should talk about loading the demo messages.
All right. So before we build our wiring, we're going to actually put in a couple of demo messages. So there's a few ways you can do this. One is there's in the GitHub, I believe there's a sample.json. I don't know if Chloe included that. Otherwise, I can just save this text as a sample.json, or I'm actually going to show you how to do it in the Firebase US. So we have our new app. We click on Manage App, and I'm going to create a node. So what this is, this manager, it's a fancy, if you've ever used PHP MyAdmin or SQL Server Manager, this is a fancy interface for interacting with the data. And so I'm going to go to the root node. I'm going to create something called messages. And I'm going to create a first message. So I just hit messages and I hit the plus, I added a messages node, and I hit plus again to add a child node. And now I'm going to give it a name of 1. And then I'm going to say, with its username, Stephen Demo. I'm going to add another field, and I'm going to call it message. I hope everyone is doing great. And I hit add. It will create that entire JSON structure for me semantically. So, does that make sense what we did there? So we were creating the JSON structure manually. You don't have to do this, but then you're not going to see that your chat window worked until you start writing messages into it. This is a way of making sure that works right out of the box.
Awesome. So I just also invited Stephen to our big chat one. We'll see if it's in here. Where's the invites? GDG, Firebase.
Yes, good.
Probably have. All right, fine. I'll figure this out in a bit. I want to show the data that we've been entering.
It's a different Firebase account.
Is it different? Yeah, because his account is not standard. But everybody look at his password. Mortal hours.
You can go to your one and share.
I did. I just did that. Anyway, all right, so we're going in here. So the other way, we can also, what do we say, import data. To import data, you need to upload a JSON file, but that JSON file is just exactly what Stephen has in the demo here, which is this block of JSON. So we have their account created. So like 95 degrees in here?
Just up there.
Just up here? Oh.
Do you want to just give them our Firebase URI to use?
Sure. So this URI is fb-demo-augusto.
Is that it? FB for Firebase -demo-augusto. There you go. So normally you would not be manually putting in any data into Firebase. This is just us putting in some sample data so that we can make sure that our UI is working. You've got it for you. If you have any control, let me know, or I can help you point you to the demo. Yeah, you want to use the editor, you will be happy.
Whatever. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do that here. It's still editable. Okay. Where does things go? I can computer. All right. All right, so that's my spot. Here we go. Here we got this. All right, we can wire up the app. We got this. So if you like, you can use Firebase-demo/Augusto. And the URL, and you need to save this. So we want to listen now for the Firebase data. So we're going to replace the entire contents over in our editor, which is this one? Not that. There we go. Main.js. We have this chunk of replacing the div here. All right, so we're going to replace all the JavaScript that was in there, and basically what this is doing is it's creating some local variables for the elements. You've got your username, the messages window, the form, and the login area. Now this Firebase URL we need to replace with the URL that we just created. So this is fb-demo-augusta. All right, so we'll save that. We should be able to now run our application and see our messages.
Looks like it's case sensitive. The username I had like user uploading.
For which part is case sensitive?
Username, the JSON.
Yeah, okay.
Right there.
The JSON element, these here.
I have a message lowercase, but the user
Yeah.
name was capital.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, that's one issue of it being a JSON data set, is that if you change the case, it'll consider a different endpoint of the node. It's a different data element. So is everyone?
So if you've done that step correctly, so you've set up your Firebase account, you added your sample data, and then you've replaced your URL and you've updated the main.js file, when you run it, you should see your message coming from Firebase. And so you now have a live application that's pulling data from Firebase. All right, who is at this step right now? Okay, who is not at this step? So now, this is a really important step. I want to make sure we get around there.
So while we get a couple of these demo folks up to speed here, one of the things we can see is keys are all different. All right, I'm gonna pull this out here. All right, turn this back here. So here we've got, so on this page, on the left hand of the screen, we've got basically what we've done so far. You can see this being a live data. What's there?
Instead of embedding a list, you embed it.
Why did that not? Full chat. Demo, Augusto, ditch, I'll edit. Oh, okay. So it's saying. Okay, so we're going to have this be there, right? So that's message. We're going to also add another one here. Username. So, for all that work, when I added a new node to the database, it showed up right away. So just by adding that import, the JavaScript import, our app now is listening for new child elements to be added to the database. So I'll try and see if I can do that again reasonably fast. We're going to have this be message number 3. We're going to add a message of and another username Augusto. So when I hit return here, it's going to save the Firebase, and at this point, this record is going to it's being edited. It hasn't been posted yet. So when I hit return, it posts the Firebase, and you see this is through the Firebase website. So there's no kind of magic happening. There's no kind of special. This isn't happening on localhost. is happening on Firebase's servers, up to our site, which is connected there, and it posts right away. This isn't magic. I don't know what it is. Excuse yourself. This is Firebase magic. I know. All right, you take the next question. To load this, well, there's this, at this point now.
Sure. So one of the cool things about Firebase, and I think I mentioned them all, I'll just repeat it again. So do you see this Firebase URL up top? So every node in the Firebase tree has the URL for management. But the cool thing is you can actually access this completely flat as well without the functionality. So if I just type JSON, now I'm actually getting that same data out as pure JSON. So I love the magic of Firebase, but if you ever just want to make a get call and get static data that's managed in a Firebase backend, you can do that. And you can do it at any level of the tree, right? So I could say messages/1 and get out just the first message. Or I could say, give me messages/1/message. And so as you continue to expand whatever application you're building, that much more complex data structures, you can use this as a way of getting any subset of data. And this matches really well into the concept of references, which I'm going to talk about now. Because I want to go through this code just a little bit, walk through what this does. So and I think this is repetition, because I think Lloyd said it all. So we're getting a bunch of stuff from just the DOM, right? Get element by ID. And then we're defining what's called a base ref. A base ref is so every connection into Firebase is called a reference. And what you do is you point to an element on that JSON tree, right? So if you remember, I went to /messages. What that allows us to do access is that scope of that tree without touching anything else, right? So you can imagine if I had pointed to just the root, and then we loaded that data. Let's say we had 10 years of chat history. That would probably be way too much, right? Because now I'm actually loading a 5 meg file over the web, which would be inefficient. But using these references and then making a child such as messages, I can get a subset of that tree and not have any of the performance, because Firebase doesn't even think about the stuff outside of that tree.
Well, that was just a little bit. Okay. We should re-talk.
Okay. So there's basically 4 or 5, I don't even remember, events that Firebase gives you. And so we're going to talk later about pushing data to Firebase and pulling data down from Firebase. Child added is how you pull data down for an array. So if you remember, we created messages/an array index, like 1 or 2 or banana. It really doesn't actually matter to Firebase. That's an array index. And what this does is this looks at that reference within the tree that we selected, which is here messages. And then anytime a child gets added to the tree, we're going to go get the value of that child, and we're just going to parse it into a div, and then append that div out into our chat window. And so the cool thing is, you'll notice that when you relaunch your application, it looks like all the data was there, right? You're not waiting for new data or something like that. That's because child added gets invoked on first load and on any new data. And so it actually does that using WebSockets, which I think we have a slide to show you about how it's actually doing that communication behind the scenes. Any questions about this code or what it's doing? There's like 3 Firebase commands you'll end up caring about. It's like update, child added, and then save. In general, for most use cases, that's everything, right? Update is look at a single node, a single data point, and wait for that to be created or updated. Save allows you to push back, and then child added looks at arrays and deals with arrays.
Okay. Is it okay you're going to talk about this child?
All right, are we all to a screen that looks like this, where you've got the username you entered and a message? Is anyone not there yet? I want to make sure that we're all kind of caught up. All right.
We're good? All right. So at this point, we're basically retrieving data from the database. As Stephen said, that child added is called on load or when a new node is added to the JSON string. So we want to add now a listener for, now this is just regular JSON. This isn't, sorry, JavaScript. This isn't Firebase magic explicitly, but it does some Firebase magic within there. So it's adding a listener to the submit button with this callback function.
Actually, so this is submit is a event on forms. So there's actually multiple ways to invoke a submit, right? So there's this DOM concept of a submit of a form, which happens either when you hit the enter key in any of the fields, or when you hit a button associated with type submit.
So, so when the form is submitted, we've got this callback function, which first thing you do is you don't let it do what the page wants to do by default, which would be by default is a full page refresh. So we're going to go ahead and do log back to the console, and then using messages ref, which we define up here, so this is available to the whole page, we're going to push the data to the end of the array. And the data is a JSON element of username and message, and then reset the value to be empty. So we'll save that, and we close the window, so I'll open a new one here. All right, so we've got the data that's been in there, and we can add any other username we want. We're going to say Jeff Williams. Hello there. All right, so that did exactly what we expected to. Should we inspect what happened, or
Sure. So if you had skipped the step of automatically, or of going in and putting in the messages manually, so messages/1/username, if you had skipped that, this step would still work. Because what Firebase does is if you try and push data up to a node that doesn't, or to a section of it that doesn't exist, it lets you do that and it creates it automatically. Because we haven't secured our Firebase instance at all, you can throw whatever data at it you want, and it's kind of just going to work. So that was an optional step, but it's a step that kind of gets you thinking a little bit about how to structure data in Firebase.
And we do have somebody hacking the site. Thank you. I'll feel bad otherwise.
Can you show the Firebase JSON for me?
Yeah, we shut that window down, but let that go.
And so if you remember, we typed in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Those aren't actually proper Firebase identifiers. What they do is they come up with hashes, and then these hashes are actually used to shard the data across multiple servers, as well as they are used for indexing. So Firebase has a way of looking at that index and figuring out ordering and timing and some fancy stuff that we don't have to think about, right?
That was my question.
Yeah. So then, okay, here's a peculiarity about Firebase. When you export any data from Firebase, there is no such thing as a list. So normally the square brackets in JSON are a list, right? So I might put a list of people, or I might put a list of strings or integers. In Firebase, there are no lists because lists aren't performant and they're hard to order when you're moving data across servers. Because every server, if you're using an array, it uses a different internal representation of that array or that list. So what they do is they make up identifiers for every item in an array or in a list.
So that's when you want to see the JSON?
No, that's what you just okay. Measuring that number is the node, the chapter, main node number, so maintained by them.
Yeah, so these are proper Firebase identifiers for items of a list. You don't have to think about those. You will want to pass those around now.
Can you override it if you need to push in a 4? Can you do that?
Yeah. Right. So let's say I create 2 chat rooms, and I want to move one of these messages into another list. You could reuse this array or this item and put it in that list. That would work just fine. They're just strings, but they're fancy Firebase strings.
within the application code, one of the, I believe, and I'm happy to be wrong, so anybody correct me, but to delete this, you would basically set this key, this array's value to null, and then on Firebase side it'll delete that. And then you could recreate it somewhere else. And to overwrite it, basically you pass this information with different value. Does that explain the moving it or changing it?
Sounds like you don't really get to control as much stuff from the application if I were to push it up forward. How do I do that in the?
If you wanted to put something in there, you could, but they don't recommend it. There's no reason you'd ever want to do that.
Yeah, so there's say like a group chat. Does Firebase do their own safety check on the chats from the form?
No, so we'll get in a little bit to security later, but no, Firebase is not going to be doing any sort of safety or profanity or anything like that. Yes, it will make the IDs for you. You should not be generating those.
No.
Unless you're generating test data.
Do you mean safety as in like trying to inject some web components or some JavaScript attack?
Yeah.
No, yeah, it'll take it. If you give it the data, it'll save it. All right, so we got it now posting.
Is everyone posting now to their own chat room with all sorts of fake IDs that they created?
Now what we should have is one of the things that I added, we added last night was, you see when our messages get really long, we've got a lot of data in here. It's not scrolling to the end, so there's one little UX for finding what we're going to do. And so on this reference that, let's go this way, Stephen Cole talked about, rather than pulling in all of the data, we can do, there's a special function called limit to last. So this basically says, only retrieve the last so many points. And then also we've got just a little piece here, which will keep our chat window scrolled to the end. So go back here, reload this page. All right, so now it's got just the last 20 objects that are in the array. And if we have, who else can I take on? Right, so now as this scrolls up, it actually just lets it scroll up. So that's just a little UX tweak.
And this is not, this is go back to code. This has nothing to do with Firebase. This is just JavaScript magic.
Right.
I don't know why this works, but it does.
Cut and paste, man. Give some developers rule the world. All right, so I have a little note there. Checkpoint. So we should have a real-time working chat app. Everybody's got this?
Yep. Sweet. Anyone still out of trouble? Break.
Should we inspect the inspector here? So this is kind of the coolest thing ever. We all live and breathe kind of in the inspector area, right? And you watch, I'm going to reload this, and as you're debugging things, you can check out your elements or watch the network traffic that's happening here. We've got this new status code. What?
So I mean, if you've ever built a web application, you've probably made RESTful calls, right? And so every time you make a call out to a web server, you're doing an entire HTTP negotiation. You're saying, hey server, let's talk. And the server's saying, who are you? And you're saying, I'm Stephen, trust me. And these are the content types I accept. And the server's saying, well, that's good that you accept those content types. I supply these content types.
And this is part of the standard spec starting in 1993, right? The HTML spec. The server's going to make a request. It's going to stop at some point. You don't really know when it's going to stop, but it has to come back with a status 200. Otherwise, something crazy is going on. So,
and that round trip can take seconds, right, to establish, because if one hop along that route fails, it takes, when the 200 milliseconds to retry a hop on the TCP connection or whatever.
Yeah. So here we've got this status 100, which is basically, I mean, this is kind of the behind the scenes magic that's allowing this to happen. So part of the HTTP 1.1 spec is that it allows you to leave your connections open. And so this is WebSockets. This is part of now HTML5. It's keeping a connection open back to the Firebase server. And as this information comes back, you can see that, look, we've got actual data being passed. Here I can inspect these frames. You want to talk a little bit about the concept of frames?
So frames are, if you've ever done any sort of networking, frames are basically TCP packets. So instead of actually your whole HTTP negotiation, you trust me, I trust you, who are you, what authentication you have, a frame, you can leave that open by WebSockets, and then every frame just goes through as one or more packets. It can be of any size.
Magic. All right.
So it's kind of like we've gone full circle, right? In the beginning of time, we all started sockets, TCP, UDP sockets over and over and over again. Everyone's building socket clients, socket servers. Then we had standards, right? HTTP, REST, it's fantastic. And now we're kind of back to the world of sockets, just because once you've got a framework that kind of controls things and makes it easy, it's way more performant. And that's where we get this idea of real time.
So everybody's got this working. You've got your first Firebase chat app working. If you don't, you can always cut a page from GitHub. So the next step, obviously, is no one wants to log in anymore. That's so 2004. You should log in with OAuth, and I'm gonna let you drive because we're gonna go to the cloud console. Okay. To log in.
All right. So Firebase out of the box offers Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and they actually offer email, like username and password, just standard. But for ease of implementation, we don't want to build a username and password form. We're just using Google+. And so there's a tiny bit of setup here, which we'll go through relatively quickly, because this can actually be a bit of a pain. But in order to authenticate using Google+ or Twitter, you have to go create an account with them, and then get a ID and secret back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to cloud.google.com. Sign up. Signing up is free. It's relatively easy as well. And then you're either going to sign up or you're going to have My Console if you already have an account. And then I'm going to go into, let's just create a new project. I'll call Live Demo of Firebase.
And can we get a thank you to Google that we're all remember that we can now have more than 10 projects? No one else cares? Oh man, my life is so drastically improved.
We're not going to charge anything here, so we'll just pick that. So it's creating that project behind the scenes here. Maybe I'll just click on one that I created before. So I click on Firebase, close that. This is a project one. And I'm going to go to APIs and off. And in APIs and off, I'm going to go to credentials. And now we need credentials. So don't take a picture.
So do you first need to turn on the API, the Google Plus API? Or do you just do it from here?
I think you just do it. I don't know.
Okay. So
if this doesn't work, let us know.
Yeah.
Who's still following along and is trying out cloud.google.com?
All right. Can you go to your APIs? Let's just, you can see from here. And then you go to Google Plus. No, it's not enabled. So you don't need to enable Google Plus for Google Plus sign up. Just like Steven said.
Later, you'll want to hit that reset secret because this is recorded.
It's live streaming. People are charging our Apple.
So you create a new client ID. We're creating a web application. We'll leave that there. And then authorized redirect URLs. This is going to be that Firebase URL that what Google's going to do is every time a user authenticates, they're going to call Firebase and say, hey, this guy's okay. So what that looks like is just, it looks like auth.firebase.com/v2/your Firebase/auth/Google/callback. So this you just get off their web page. And you paste that there. And you put in filters. GDG.
No,
Demo.
FB demo, FB-demo, FB-demo.
Okay. And because we're doing everything from localhost, we don't need to create a different origin. Once, if you deploy it, you need to put whatever web server you're putting it on here. You create client ID, and then we'll give you what we call a client ID and a client secret. And then what you do with that is once you have those, is you go over to Firebase, and you say, hey, for any user trying to authenticate to my application, the FB Demo Augusto application, I'm going to go over to auth over here on the left, as you can all see, and I'm going to click on auth, log in and auth, and I'm going to say we're doing Google authentication, and I'm going to give them the client ID and the secret. So I will just copy and paste that over here and hit the checkbox. Sure. So I'm just copying the client ID and the client secret. So what this does, this allows Google and Firebase to create a secure connection. And then Google can trust Firebase. All right. Let's stop and see if people were able to get through step 10. I know this is a tough step. Pretty good.
Anybody need a sanity check? Okay. There we go.
Google abandoned that. Hear that? Oh yeah, they like abandoned it. No, it's Yeah. They're like, I use it all the time. I like it.
Before everybody leaves, I forgot the key thing at the beginning. So we've been, oh, there we go. I'm going to steal Martin's line. So we send reports regularly to our Google overseers, our Google handlers. And to prove that this event happened, if you all could wave and say, keep funding GDG. There we go, nice.
And do the survey. The survey's more important.
The survey, right? Yeah, definitely. Don't forget to do the survey. I'll post that to Meetup as well. All right, so next step.
All right. Anyone still on step 9? Need help setting up their cloud account? That's one of the more error-prone steps. All right. Who's ready for step 10? Okay. Good. I think we're at about 60% now. All right. So now we're going to, oh, excuse me, we already did step 10, right? We took our Google client ID and client secret and put them in Firebase. All right. For those of you guys in step 10, I hope you managed step 11. Who's on step 11? Try it again. All right. So now we're going to create and wire our login button. So you'll notice we did 2 things to the code here. In index.html, we added a display none. We'll do that quick. So what that does is that hides the username and password form until someone's actually logged in. And then we created a little login section here. So we'll put it right below the form. And what we're going to do is we're going to use JavaScript to turn on and off the visibility of these 2 sections. Those 2 changes are all you need to do in the index.html. And then we'll jump over into the main.js. And once again, at the bottom of our code, we're going to add a whole new block. At the bottom of our main.js file, we're going to have a whole new block. And this does several things. So just like we had hooked into our form button, we're going to hook into the click event on our login button now. And then we're going to pass off this Firebase method, this magic method, that says, hey, go do all that authentication stuff using Google. So that's what the off with OAuth pop-up does. We're saying use the Google. And then there's 2 events that happen with our off with OAuth pop-up. They're either an error, where we're not really doing anything. You should probably use something nice here, like tell the user, we're not nice. Or there's the else where there was not an error, and we're saying, hey, authenticated successful. And we've got this payload back, right? So this payload is called off data. What that does, or what that contains, is going to be dependent on the type of Firebase authentication you're using. Google, you're going to get different things back than you're using Twitter, right? Twitter doesn't have an agent service. It has an agent, but they're not the same as Google names, or they're not the same as Facebook names, etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that form field we were using before, where we were just letting users type whatever they want. Now we're going to fill the value, set the value on that text field equal to the display name we got back from Google. And we're going to do this highly secure thing of just disabling the people. So obviously, users would go ahead of that. but you can write JavaScript as well. So we'll talk a little bit about rules you can use to prevent that at the end. And then like we talked about, we're flipping the display. So instead of not displaying the form, we're now making that block, which is visible again. And we're taking the volume field, we're making that invisible again. So display equals none.
And you'll note here as well, a great byproduct of this is you're not entering any of your credentials on this code, which is all context facing. So we've uploaded no server-side processing code. Yeah, that's really one of the beautiful things here. And because it's all client facing, you kind of want to keep your secrets secret, and you don't need to expose any of those.
All right. So, has anyone added that successfully? Is that code now working? So you can hit a login button that should come up in your pop-up, which, once again, as the Google Cloud infrastructure can be the harder part. But if it's coming up with a pop-up successfully and you hit, you sign in and you hit yes and it's setting the name, then you completely finish the kind of base chat room with authentication. All right, who has finished step 11? Anyone needing help with step 11? All right.
With everyone hands up for help?
Yeah. So if you see error redirect URI mismatch in the pop-up, that means that your redirect URL in cloud.google.com was not set right.
Over here in this part where you've got your settings, this URI needs to match.
Edit settings. Something wrong on that. Yeah, right. This redirect URL can take a few seconds to propagate. So if you fix it and you hit save, it may take 1 or 2 minutes before it's working. Yeah, do it if you log in. Yeah, so perfect. So just wait for 1 long. And then there was another hand back there.
So we've got this.
What's in your Firebase, the redirect URI? It's just the name of the project, right? It's not like Firebase.com.
No, yeah, it's the name of the URL on your project. So it's the one with the dashes. So like in our Firebase here, we've got
Okay, yeah.
it's originally FB demo, but it's this piece here. FB-demo-resto is the right?
You're gonna lock me out.
Where is it soon? Anybody else over here need help? You guys are good? You doing all right, mister?
Yeah.
All right.
All those funny posts. So anyway.
Yeah, I figured. It's good.
You didn't invalid over 1 error here.
That means that in your cloud, that Google.com, you get that. How long did it take?
You know, I had it right originally. I thought, right? So I mean, that's the data.
And yes, on it.
And getting on, and then we're on the right. So what's in there?
That's
The pop-ups, yeah. Oh, invalid blank, no support emails.
oh yeah.
So you can go in like Google Cloud.
Go ahead. Is that in your, where is it? It's in your app. You set it. No, I just saw it. It's just happened. Someone should set it up next time.
It's a
Full price is still 2,000.
Oh, it says FB.
Oh, yeah.
Quick session.
Wow.
That's all.
You should have read the error word. Right.
Yeah. Oh, no, so.
You can take it.
All right. So everybody's got the new code up. If we go to this window and reload it, we'll turn on the inspector. Oh, keep it up. So now, all the data that we had in the database is still there, but you can't post to it without logging in. So we've got our security in place. Security. So now Steven's logged in, and it is so secure. Now, obviously, if anybody who would open this page prior to us applying the security and hasn't reloaded, or you got your local host set up, you'll be able to continue to post here. See? Good. I know.
Hey, it's not hacking if you have a valid session token.
Exactly. So now we get into this new area. So I'm going for time. You called it, hour 20 minutes. That's good. So in the Firebase app, we can look at our data and see all this data that's been posted. Across the side here, we did our logins on. There's this section called security and rules. And by default, all nodes in your Firebase app are readable and writable. By anyone.
Authenticated, not authenticated, anyone.
So we're going to use our demo here, and this is where page view fails. All right, I'm going to go over to here. I think there's one extra closing. All right, so we're going to apply some security rules. And what these rules mean are for a table. And this is a NoSQL database. We kind of skipped over that. You had a link to what NoSQL is. Did we work with NoSQL? A couple handfuls? Hands up. About a handful of people. Who wants to give a one-sentence summary of NoSQL?
Your data can be disorganized and it's okay. It doesn't have to be in all. Just put it there, throw it in.
We're all normalized. That's what NoSQL is like, right? Yeah, so everything is basically a JSON object. And so the idea of a table, I'm overusing air quotes, and so I'm just going to keep it recording all night.
So a table is also any node in that tree that we've been talking about. So NoSQL is a table is a NoSQL term that tries to map things back into the old SQL relational database world.
And I believe this is where it's open discussion forum. As you define the rules, they are for a base object. So we've got the rules for the user's table, or the user's object. You can read, this will define and say you can read any user element where the ID is equal to the authenticated user. Now the user, because it's at the top level, this is where I'm opening for discussion. If you had a user object within messages, it wouldn't follow those rules, right?
Correct.
Right. So the idea of a table being just a name and also the level of the tree matters.
So this is really important. So if you remember that we said by default, everything is read and write in a Firebase database, that includes your user table. So if you have a username password, let's say you went with the username and password type of authentication, anyone can go in and see and set other people's usernames and passwords. Not good security. This simple rule, what it does is it evaluates any time someone tries to read or write from any ID within the users table. So that's where it's saying any $UID. It checks and says whether or not they have an authentication token. So auth is a special code within Firebase, and that auth UID equals the UID of the user they're trying to read. So you're creating a variable there, and you're checking that variable against what they're trying to do. So this one rule basically secures your user table so each user can only interact with their own data.
All right, so now we'll go ahead and save these rules.
Oh, maybe we'll explain in a second. So we set the security parameters on that users node, and then we're doing a similar thing on the messages node. So obviously we could save a user ID with a message. This would be much more secure. There's lots of things we could do, like save that display name as a parameter of the user and then refer to the user ID as part of the message so that we're not trusting users to say their own names. But the minimal level of security we're adding here is we're saying for all messages, for you, anyone can read the messages, but for you to write a message, you have to be authenticated in Firebase. So although we didn't protect what username you're using, you can only write to this table if you're authenticated. So we know we have a valid Google account for you in this case.
And so now this is where, again, the Firebase pixies are going to wave their wand. So here, we can update this, right? So we are entering data. Now, hacker in the crowd, Jeff, can you pose to this now?
Okay, so it's because of the nature of this,
Yeah.
we've got the offline mode.
So here's this magicness. Hacker thinks they're still toying with our data. So on his screen, he saw that he just posted data.
So I'll open up incognito tab. So here, I'm an incognito, right? So I have not authenticated to anything. Now I'm gonna use my lead hack sort skills and say that this form is visible. Oh no, I've now got access to the form. And I'm gonna say, I am evildoer. What it said. It looks like it worked to me. It added the chat message. But because we are not authenticated, when I go back here, none of that actually made it into the database.
And we go look at the Firebase database side, and it's not actually there.
What if somebody else posted on there? Could the hacker see the update feed?
Yeah, because we've said that anyone can read.
Okay.
So if we go back to the security rules, we could say that only people who've authenticated could read. I don't actually know what that would do. Theoretically, it shouldn't load anything until you're authenticated. Theoretically, never tried it. Live coding here. Let's see, we need to go do that. Try close. All right, so we'll URL again. Incognito tab, paste. There are no messages because I don't have access to those messages. I'm gonna log in.
Plug in at GDG, because I know this one, GDG Twin Cities is
Cursor two-factor. Let's go.
magic. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and log in.
And it does not load the messages on demand. So you have to refresh.
So there is, on that, the way you would get around that is in our code. Where's our deal here?
You wouldn't find the reference until after you log in.
You can fire, yeah, so here in this element where the login event is successful, you would basically say, trigger basically a data requery, and it would populate the data.
This Firebase declarative rule set might sound overly simplistic or not able to meet your use cases, but there's actually a lot of power you can do in here. So for example, there are rules called .validate. So I can say, I'm going to get the syntax wrong here in the Firebase website. This is much better than I will. But you can say things like length is greater than 20. Right? So you can say the messages, for them to be valid, have to be greater than like 20. The other thing you can do here is there are other variables. So there is a ability to check time. So for example, if you are asking users to include a timestamp, so a chat might very well need a timestamp, you can actually validate that timestamp server side. So the users are only able to submit valid timestamps. If anyone tries to mess with things, the database will reject it. You can also check content, right? So I talked a little bit earlier about the idea of verifying the user's name. I could say that only valid messages are those that have a username that matches a name in the user's table. So you can do some very powerful things. And I would refer you to the getting started documentation.
I think we have links as well at the end of the doc. Oh yeah, the next magic step. So what Firebase has as well, kind of out of the box, is you can publish your app to Firebase. Sure.
So this basically is a fancy file hosting, right? So whatever files you want, you can put it up on Firebase, and it gets hosted at your own custom URL on Firebase. So I can do this if you guys want me to, otherwise we'll just talk through it. So the way you do this is via Firebase-tools, which is a package in the NPM or Node Package Manager repo. So this requires Node and Node Package Manager. Once you have those tools installed, you just say Firebase init. It's going to ask you for your credentials, your user and password, and it's going to ask you what the name of your app is. It's going to give you a list of apps to choose from, make it easy. And then it's going to say, hey, do you want us to use the current directory? You say agree, and it'll create a .firebase configuration file, and then you type Firebase deploy. So as we talk about the canonical one that we did as part of this test, or as part of this code lab, you'll actually see ggtc-firebase-lab.firebase app. This is one that Lloyd just took his local code and used Firebase deploy to send up to the server.
That's really as easy as it is.
It's a bit of a pain that you have to hit Firebase deploy every time it updates. I like things that flow magically, but Firebase deploy is not the most amount of work I've ever done to put something on the server. I remember back in the days I wrote like FileZilla launching my current local directory and syncing it over FTP. Those were the days, right?
So, any questions so far?
All right, who is successfully, I want to get a distinct count, so keep your hand up here. Who has successfully built a chat room with authentication? One. Two. Patrick, no? All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think that's good. I will point out, yeah, Patrick.
One thing I apologize if you already mentioned it. I think it's really awesome. As a native mobile dev, Firebase has an SDK for iOS and an SDK for Android, and they are stupid simple to use. You will literally not find an easier way to do persistence in offline mode and hitting an API. So if you want to do cross-platform like rapid prototyping, provided that your data set fits in, I can't think of a better solution. And I have a question, do you know, do they use WebSockets for the SDKs for data flow? I'm not sure.
I don't think you use WebSockets, I think you use sockets. But it does use sockets, and so, I mean, one of the things the Firebase team is working on is God messaging. Because right now, to maintain a socket connection in Android or iOS is very battery intensive. So they're looking to either partially or fully support cloud messaging and push notifications. So you get that best of both worlds. So when my app is active, it's using battery and getting real-time updates where it's really cool and fun. And when it's not active, where you want push notifications. They're working on that. They are working on it. No promise.
So there's a bunch of demo apps on the Firebase side. So go back here, Firebase docs, a bunch of examples that are pretty sweet and wicked easy to get up and working. One of the things that I thought was pretty sweet is this GeoFire demo, just using geographic information. Just as possible. So there we go. So this says real-time geographic information that's being updated by the city of San Francisco. And when I looked at this last night, the buses were actually moving. So anybody using the Uber app, Uber's back end is driven with Firebase. And so the little cars that are driving around are doing one of the nice things about this as well. So they're being updated on Firebase servers, being updated to client real time. With this little demo, it is only querying and returning the data based on geographic radius searches. So we can limit, one of the things we're always working with is limiting the amount of data you're transferring, especially over mobile. You want to be really conscious of not overloading the data transfer information. So this allows some pretty slick ways, and there's geo functions, radius nearby. I think there's even a path and width within some standard kind of geocoding, geodata functions available to them.
And then anyone that saw Martin Nomender's keynote at DevFest, he showed you guys the Firebase Tetris. I wrapped it in a Chrome extension where you can name a game. So you can create a room like Steven and play Tetris live with someone via Firebase. So if you go install this, it's in the Chrome Web Store. You can just name a room, it just creates a new node on my Firebase account. And then you can have two-player Tetris.
Pretty cool. All right. Should we just leave swag out? Should we chuck it through a can?
I think those that completed should get first dibs.
Yeah, seriously. So we've got some stickers. You've got big old Firebase stickers. And little Firebase stickers and the hot sauce. And tell me you don't need some of these, right? Thanks, everybody. That's it for tonight. Thanks. Stephen, for doing all the work. I used to get to show up and be pretty. Oh, yeah.